Okay, so imagine you're trying to communicate with someone who only speaks like Russian or something like that. And they only know the Cyrillic script. They don't even know how the letters of the Latin script are like pronounced. And in this scenario you speak like perfect Russian or whatever language they speak. And your problem is you want to communicate with them only through text. Okay, so how would you do it? Well, first of all, as you can see, a lot of these letters are are the same as they are in English. So if I just let's see this one. Let's see what else. The K is similar enough. The O, the R, which looks like the like a P, but it's actually a R sound. The S, the U, the H, and let's see, that's it. But then some of them are okay. So this looks like a capital B in Latin. It makes the V sound. Okay. Then let's see. Then we have this. It looks like an M, and it is. This is a N. It looks like a capital H, but it makes the N sound. Then this looks like a backwards R, but it actually makes the Ya sound. Okay. So then we have so the ones in black, are the same lowercase and uppercase. I mean, in the sense that if you're typing in the oh, those letters are too big. If you're typing in the Latin alphabet, you can type those just fine. Now then we reach a problem. How would you type that? Well, let's see. Let's start with the easier ones first. Now, if you can type you can type a capital B and it'll look like that, but if you type a lowercase b, it won't look like that. So that's the problem. So all the ones I underlined in red are similar in the sense that you can make can make an uppercase one, but then they're not similar for a lowercase. Now, let's start with G. So this makes the G sound. I don't actually know the names of the letters, but I'm just gonna say what sounds they make. So we take this. Now, I think it can be written like that. So we do actually have a letter for this. Or similar enough to that. That's Z. So I guess you could type Z's and it would be close enough. So I'll mark that in green. And then here we have duh. So how do we make a duh? Well, we can make it with, for the uppercase, we'll want an actual D, but then for the lowercase, we'll want a G. Okay, good. Now, let's see, what's next? We have these, and we're going to write those with, okay, now, the lowercase u looks similar enough, but the uppercase one really doesn't look right. Okay, so here, look at that, so this is basically how it looks in Cyrillic, but okay, next we have, I'm going to go to, oh no, it looks like so there should be a letter in between there that looks sort of like pi, but is more like this. And it looks like I just forgot to type it, so I'll just... Now, how you want to do that is with an N. Okay, so then we have... Oh, here's another one that looks correct in the capital. So we can just do a capital T. Capital T will work fine. Okay, now here we have... These are close enough to a W, a lowercase w especially. I mean that... Okay, so that doesn't look quite right. It looks... Okay, it looks more like this than it does look like this. So that might be a problem. But it's close enough that I'm sure that this hypothetical Russian speaker would be able to understand. Now here are some that might be best written with 2 characters if you want to get your point across. So let's see. So that can be written like that, right? Okay, maybe a lowercase l. Perfect. I mean, if I was... That looks the same to me, close enough. Here we have this, which looks like a lowercase b. Then, that one. Now that one with the U sound, or however, is sort of close to this, sort of. There's obviously a thing missing there that would make it look more similar if I could just draw a black line there, and that looks perfect. But obviously when you're typing on a computer, you can't just add a black line, so that'll be a problem. This one, that perhaps we could do it like would this work? Sort of works. You see, that doesn't really... What if... Okay. Well, what if... Now, where's the... If I do that, how does that look? Doesn't look quite right. I wonder, is there a way to, like, draw an O with a strike through it, I wonder? Anyways, so if you want to make this, this one look... Oh, I already said you do an N. But then an uppercase N doesn't look at all the same. So, let's... So we have an uppercase A. Oh, then what do we do for that? That's a little bit tricky. I don't know how you would do a... Because we don't have anything like... Oh, maybe we do. Maybe we can use numbers for some of these. Okay, perfect. Then we get to this, which I'm going to do a Z for. Then a D. An E. Okay, that's difficult. How do I do that? Can I just do... I mean, sort of. What if I do, like... Perfect. That's almost... Like, you could tell what that is. Okay. Then, for this one, I'm going to do a 3. Ha ha ha. Then, a lowercase u would work. But how do I do the uppercase? I don't know. I mean, it would be, like, really weird looking at it if it's all, like, Could you do an uppercase U? I don't think that would work. You could just do an N and just hope that... I mean, it looks similar enough, I guess. Okay, then we have a K, right? Now that L is kind of tricky, isn't it? How do we do the L? The L. However, it's... I mean, let's see. That almost looks similar if you just ignore this part. How would you... Oh, I know. You do that, and then you do that. Okay, perfect. Perfect. We have this. Now next is the M, which is the same. We just have an M. Capital H for the N. O. And then for the row we have a P. And then just a C, a T, a Y is close enough. And then how did I did that for I did that for that. I'll have an X, and then okay, what do I do for that? No. If I have a that doesn't. Okay, so that's kind of tricky, isn't it? What if I does that how does that look? That doesn't look at all right, because it doesn't connect. Well, what if I made it connect like that? I mean, yeah, that looks pretty similar. How does the 4 look? Now, I know how I draw 4 is it. See, that doesn't look at all the same as that, does it? I mean, this one looks like a 4, but it makes the ch sound. So how do we make our... Let's see, is there anything... Could we, like, do like that? That's sort of, but it's missing the line connecting it. Are there... None of the letters are at all close, other than 4, but the way it does 4 doesn't look right. Is there another letter that could... What about, like... See, that doesn't look right either. Honestly, it looks more similar to that than... So how would we make a ch? Okay, well, one way you could make a ch and have them understand would be you have a T and then a W, I guess. So a t and then a sh, that's sort of like a ch. A little weird, but maybe they'll understand it like that. Okay, then we have W. And, okay, that's... Now how... This... Is there a symbol that looks... like W with a comma after it? No, that doesn't look right. I guess you could do the trick with that. So 2 L's and then a that. Two L's and then a that. I mean, obviously it doesn't connect. Is there a way to get this to be underlined? Let's try that. Doesn't look very underlined. That. Nope. Okay, I don't know the command to underline things. Oh well. If I had the command to cause it to strike through, then that would be very useful for that. I wonder, could you... Okay, what's the next letter? We have a B, but with a thing at the top. It doesn't make the B sound. So why aren't you typing? Did I hit something? Why isn't it typing? I'm hitting buttons and it's not doing anything. Oh well. Come on, try. Oh, now all the B's appear at once. What about... Ha ha ha. Now that doesn't look right. No. Now... Yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to go like that for that. Now, of course, we already have the this sound. I don't, is that a sound? It might not be. It might just be a symbol. Then we have our lowercase o and then capital O. And then, see, that's the trickiest. Obviously, we could just do an R like that. Though it's backwards, isn't it? So, how do we make the yaw sound? How does a 9 look? So we take our 9, right? And we try to find something that, okay, that doesn't look half bad. Our yaw. Perfect. I mean, they might be able to tell what you're trying to draw there with your letters. Okay, now a lot of, oh no, I accidentally, a lot. Okay, so now we move on to the lowercase. We have A, right? Then what? I'm just gonna do a 6 again because it looks, I mean, there are a lot of, okay, then how do we do that? Well, let's see, 3 is too big. How does an 8 look? An 8 is clearly wrong. I'm just gonna do a capital B again. Hope they don't notice. I can do a lowercase z, and then as I mentioned before, I have a D, which is a G. It looks like a G, but it's pronounced like a D. Then I have a normal E, and then what did I do for that time? I'm just gonna keep that because there's no way I'm gonna do better than that. And then I do a 3 again. Now that I do my U, because actually now that it's lowercase, I can use a U. Okay, but then here's a problem. How do you on your keyboard get this? Because you don't have that. Well, is there what if I do that and then that? Oh no. That and then that. Wait, no. Keep there. So that's the opposite of what I want, as you can see. That's how do I get it to go down? I don't know. But I'm sure they'll understand. Unless they get these two confused, which they probably wouldn't, because but I mean, what if they think, oh yeah, that's going up, so therefore this must be the long one, and then this is the short one, which makes it a y sound instead of an e sound, whatever. Okay, now we have our these again, because not like we can make a, I mean, the N looks sort of like it, but then that'll just cause confusion with the actual P sound. A capital A, bad for obvious reasons, because there is a capital A already, so I guess we're just gonna have to do that, unless we have that, but it's sideways, and that's confusing to have a sideways letter. Then we have, now here's a problem. You look at that M, and it makes the T sound. That's a problem. Okay, so we might just have to use the capital M. And then we have, now if you look at the lowercase h, it doesn't look like a small uppercase h, does it? So we're gonna have to keep it, unfortunately. Then we can go O, P, C, and then M for the T, and for the Y we have a little y, and then I did it like that time, so I'm gonna do it like this time. Perfect. I mean, it definitely doesn't look like the thing you're trying to make, but oh well. And then we have little x. Okay, now I don't know how I'm gonna do that, so I'm just gonna do that again. And okay, then we have, okay, so then we have M and then a W for that, for the ch, even though it doesn't look at all like a lowercase ch, but oh well. Okay, then we're gonna have to, okay, all of these are gonna be the same, right? But then I guess the only difference will be that we can make that lowercase, and then I got rid of the okay, what, and then a 9 for that. So that, I mean, that is almost the Cyrillic script in the Latin script. I'm sure that, like, if you were Russian and trying to read that, you probably could. It's not the most visually pleasing, except especially some of those. Why do I have? Oh, the reason I have 2 is because the first one is an actual one, then the second one is just that, and then that, and since there's no line, that's causing confusion. So now how, if you were writing this for whatever reason, what kind of confusions could you run into? Well, let's see. First of all, you would never run into confusion with these, because that's the only place where these things appear. So we don't have to worry about that. Now, let's see, we have these, which also appear in our ya. However, this only appears in the l, and then the 9 only appears in the ya. So no space for confusion there. Next, we have our L, and then our that. So, no other place does a capital L appear except with this. So we have 2 places where a capital L can appear. But I don't think there'll be any confusion because, like, it's not like an L will, like, there's always an L or 2 L's. There's never, you can't have this, because the L is always followed by one of these or another L, so you can tell whether it's sh or, okay, so I think this is actually pronounced differently. I think it's pronounced shta in Bulgarian and sh in Russian, so I don't know the I don't think it's a distinction made in English between this ch and this ch. Guess if I spoke Russian, I might know the difference. Okay, then we have the next letter using multiple characters was this one. So will that cause confusion? Well, this is the only place where one of these will appear, this close brackets, so it won't cause confusion. And then we have, okay, now here is where I'm worried about confusion, because we have that. So if our text is something like this character, and then this character, which is, so you wouldn't know if it was one of these and then one of these, or one of these and then one of these. There'd just be no way to know. Now, I don't think that's a problem, though, because you could probably figure it out, I guess, through context, but that's the only place for confusion. In terms of the actual multiple things being represented the same way. Now, other places for confusion. Let's see. For all the ones that are exactly the same as, it probably won't cause confusion. This, if I was a speaker of a language that uses the Cyrillic script, I feel like I'd be able to figure out what this is without much confusion. This, definitely a cause for confusion here. I would be like, hey, why is that I backwards? And I would be confused. I would probably be able to tell that that is one of these. However, I might not know. I might confuse it for tsa. This makes the tsa sound like in pizza. Okay, next we have ka, which it's basically the same. Like you won't be confused by that. This one, it's I don't think it would be a problem. I think you would be able to tell what that's meant to be. Then, I mean, obviously, I'm not proposing these as the official how to write it with when you don't have a Cyrillic keyboard, because it's kind of ugly. And but like, if for whatever reason you had to like communicate to someone in Russian or whatever language, and then okay, so we have no space for confusion. This this. I would be confused if I saw that. However, I'm sure I could figure it out. This, also kind of confusing. I guess I could like do something like that, but then that would just cause more confusion. Let's see. Oh, I'm the k, or I wouldn't be confused by that, considering it's the same in Cyrillic. Did I forget? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. So, I have to put an N there, which is P. Then, what do I put there? That's a tricky one. What do I put there? What do I put there? Could I... Okay. No, that wouldn't work. So if I do that, and then... is there a thing that goes on top? Like one of these? No, that... if I hit... No. Okay, it looks... Okay, what about... No, I would not be able to tell that that's a puss, so we might just have to use a regular n for that, a lowercase n. Now, you see, this would be very ugly if you were going to actually do it, because you would have to just mix the lowercase and uppercase letters. Next, what was I on? So this, I would be confused by this. I wouldn't be able to tell that that's supposed to be a f. Then we have this, which, you know, it looks close enough to it, so I'd be able to figure it out. Here is obvious confusion, but if I were to just sound it out, I'd be able to figure it out. Now, for this, you could, I guess, if it's Bulgarian, you could probably get away with that. That they might, but honestly... I can easier tell what this is than it's supposed to be the shta. Okay, now let's see. So this, to me, that looks fine. Like I can understand that what that's supposed to be. This, very weird. However, I can understand it. And then we have this, which looks basically the same. I might not even notice that it's different. You could probably swap that out. This obviously looks the same as that. Then we have this, which is confusing. It'd be like, what's an example of an English letter, or I guess the Latin script letter, that, like, just... See, imagine if you just wrote a B like that. Like, I'd like, you'd be able to understand that that's a B, but, you know, it could also be a 13, you know? You know what I'm saying? Oh, why is it going there? Okay, like, let's see. So if I have my, like, oh, that's an I. If I have my, like, you can tell that's a B, but still, if I use that, then you can tell it's 13. If I do that, you can tell it's a B. But it just looks weird, I guess. That's, um, what other characters are there? So we have, let's see, so, and this. This is very confusing. However, it looks sort of. So this is how I would write that character. Something like Oh, that doesn't look right. Something like that, I guess. Um, you know, or if I was like writing in block letters or whatever, like like that. So if I was writing Tanya, that would be like I'd have a t, and then let's see. So I have. Now I never learned Russian Cyrillic, obviously, but I feel like I can figure it out. Like there, Tanya. That if you you would be able to tell that that says Tanya, right? I'm pretty sure. What other Russian words do I know? Da, which means yes in Bulgarian and Russian. So that's how I would write it. And I'm sure you can understand that that's da. Okay, what else? Then what else do I know? Niet. I know how to niet. That you can tell what that is, right? Niet means no. And then there's also ne, or what, ne? Something like that, which means not, I'm guessing. What other Russian words or Bulgarian words? I can do Boris. There we go. Then, let's see. No, I don't. That doesn't. Okay, my P. How do I do a P? I don't know how to do a P in any sort of cursive. I'm just how do I do it? Okay. Boris. Let's see. I'm gonna do. I mean, most of the things I know in Russian would just be like names, like Ivan would be like that. Ha ha ha. Ivan. Ivan. Okay, what else? Now, let's see. That is a G, but G is kind of weird. It's oh here I wrote it like that, so it's like that. Does it look like at all like that in the capital version? I don't know. Here I'm gonna. Let's see. Okay, what's the knee at the end? It must be a. Is that how you write Grozny? I don't know. What other words? So now, when you think of Russia, a lot of people think of comrades. So let's write Tovarish. The T, and then see, I'm not an expert in how to write Russian Cyrillic. In fact, I just know what the letters look like and nothing else, which I guess is good enough to be understood. And it's like, you don't have to. If you're writing for someone to understand you, you could literally like. Okay, how do I? Because that's just gonna. Okay, here. I think I must have done something wrong because my U and my or my I and my sh like just blended together, so you wouldn't be able to tell what that is, could you? Maybe. Okay, would I have to? Okay, maybe that's right. Maybe the first time was right. I don't know. What other words do I know in Russian? Do svidaniya, is that something Russians say? Probably means, I don't know, good morning or something. Or a goodbye. Yeah, I bet it means goodbye. Dos. Now, you see, I don't actually know how to spell, which might be a problem. But if I could just, you know, but that, I mean, when does not being able to spell ever cause problems for anyone? I don't think it ever has. Dos vidanya must be spelled with an A, right? Maybe it's spelled with an O. I don't know. Do svidanya. Assume it's a y and not a y. Do svidanya. A an e an e kretka. Maybe. What else? What else? Moscow. How would you write Moscow in Russian or in the Cyrillic script? Well, it's obviously going to have an O. And then, so it's an M, an O. And then we have to have a C, obviously. Okay. Now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but that it's called Moskva. That's why they're called Muscovites or whatever, something like that. Moskva. Would you be able? I mean, see, I have no idea whether someone who like writes in Russian would be able to look at that and say, "Oh, that says Moskva." Maybe they would, or maybe they'd think it'd be Mogkova. Um, let's see, je. Um, so that would be written like, sort of like this. I get, yeah, something like that. Let's just write all of the letters. Obviously written the same. I'm gonna write them here because now how I would write an A is like that, but that's just the way I write A's. I don't think that's right. And then, okay, now if we write this like that, then this would be like that, like this. Okay, now I'm writing these lowercase, but I wrote the A uppercase, so I'm gonna correct that and write it how I would write A's. Now, I don't know how Russians write A's. I don't. But I know it probably looks something like the way we write A's in English. So there's my A. You could also write an, like, okay, so that's an A. That, I mean, that looks sort of A-like. This looks like, what is this? What is that? Do people write A's? Who writes an A like that? I'm confused. If you write your A's like this, I mean, I don't. I wouldn't write an A like that in any language. Um, okay, here we have this, which is okay. My G doesn't look very good, does it? My duh. Let's see. My E's tend to look like this. Where I don't think that's right, but I mean, like, how am I supposed to write an E? Here we have, like, if I'm writing in, like, some sort of, like, it's cursive, then my E's tend to look something like that, depending on where the previous line was. If it was at the top, then my E would look like an E. If it's at the bottom, it would look like a loop-de-loop. Let's see. Je. I already did that. It's like this. Perfect. Then I believe this one is like this. I'm writing over top of that. Sorry. Obviously, this is like a U, as I showed before. And then I don't know how you would write that. I would just write a sort of downwards triangle, I guess. What would you call that? I don't know. Okay, K's are a bit confusing for me. I draw them something like that. And that looks, I mean, like, that's, K's are basically the same, right? So that shouldn't be a problem. This is like a triangle with a bottom missing. This, I would write like that. Let's see, now M is interesting. Let's see. You could. So does that look like a T? Now, to me, if I write an M like this, that doesn't look like a T at all. But this definitely looks like a T. I think it's from. Now, the reason T's are written like that is because obviously, imagine if let's see, what's the word that has T in it? Let's say let's say, for example, your word is "ata." I don't think that's the word, but let's just go with it. And then you want to write a "t," so you go up, go down. There's your "t." Well, let's just say whatever letter it is requires that to be down there. But then, I mean, you're writing rather quickly, and then that you see how that happens. That also, that I'm just guessing that's what happens. I don't actually know, but it's sort of, it's like a T, but with, like, it goes down. It goes down. Yep. And then, but that kind of looks like, we don't write our T's like that because that's how we write our M's in a. So we. So I would write an M like that because that doesn't leave any confusion for whether it's a T because it doesn't have this and it doesn't have that. However, if you. This also doesn't look like a T, doesn't look like a T. So I guess that might work, but I'm not sure. I don't know what letters look like what. someone who speaks Cyrillic. No one speaks Cyrillic. Who's someone who writes in the Cyrillic alphabet. So this is pretty simple. It's you just write it, but without removing your pen from the paper. Then it's a circle. Do you not know how to draw a circle? Okay. Now P, as aforementioned, I do not know how to draw a P. But it should be something like that. I don't know how to draw it, like if it's in a word, like what's a word that has "r" in it? Well, I mean, obviously I have Boris. Let's just do Boris again. So, like, if I just do it like that, like, that doesn't look right, does it? It looks completely wrong. So how do I do a P? I don't know. Then we have, okay, I'm gonna use the green thing to put my N there, my P. So it goes, wait, does the, oh, okay, this should go there. That goes there, not where I put the green line. Oh well. Then we have our S, which is a C. Then, now, here we have that, and that's fine. That looks right to me. I would see that as a T. Then let's see, we have this, which I would just write the same way I write a Y in English. It makes the oo sound like the letter oo. I mean the letter U. Okay, now we have this. How would I write that in Cyrillic if I had a word like that? Okay, I don't know. It's not the most common letter, is it? I mean, most letters aren't the most common letter by definition. Could you write it like, perhaps like that? Okay, if I was doing it capitally, I would do it like that. And that looks fine to me. Now, how would I write it? Like, I don't know. Like that? Okay, if you speak Cyrillic, if you write in a language that uses the Cyrillic script, how do you write this letter? I don't know. I'm it's an O with a vertical line through it, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know how you would write that in cursive. Now an X, you could write an X like that, and that's pretty simple. However, how I would write an X if I was doing this would then I would write it like this, then like this, and then like this. And if you do it right, you can do it in a fluid motion that doesn't even look like, that'll actually look like this. So if I okay, I couldn't see what I was doing, but you get the point. You could write an X like that. Now, if you do it like that's great. It actually looks to me more like that, like, and then, but it's actually this. You're rewriting over where you just did. So that's great. That's how I'll do it. Because the great thing about that is you can do it like in cursive, so that's fine. Now this, how would you write the "t"? I would write it sort of like a U, but that just goes over a little bit and has a tail. Or I guess that could also be how you write a Y. So it goes up there and up there, and you can do another one if you want. So that's how I would write it. I don't know as to if that's exactly how they would write it. Now this one, I would write it. First of all, we have that, and then like that. I would write it like that. So and obviously, if you're not, you could just write it like that without the tail. I forgot to do that. Now this, it will obviously just be the same way you write a W pretty much. And then this, like that. And then this would be like this. And then all of that, I don't know. I assume this would be something like that, or I don't know. And then this one's pretty easy, just like that. Okay, well I guess that's all I have to say.